War has always been a brutal contest of numbers. For most of history, the side with the most men and the most material tended to prevail. Napoleon's infantry columns, the massive industrial armies of World War II, and the armored divisions of the Cold War all followed a similar logic. Build more tanks, recruit more soldiers, and victory will come. Today, however, that equation is shifting. Battles are increasingly decided not by the number of boots on the ground, but by who commands the most money, the best technology, and crucially, the most unmanned aerial vehicles. In this drone age, tiny propeller-driven machines made from plywood and off-the-shelf parts can strike deep behind enemy lines, shut down cities, and saturate air defenses in ways that fighter jets and cruise missiles never could. Consider a plywood drone that cost as little as $20,000 but forces the defender to launch an interceptor missile costing $3 million. Who is really winning that exchange? This question underpins a new revolution in warfare, the rise of cheap, long-range precision drones and the attritional logic of mass swarming. In this deep dive, we explore how Iran, a country long dismissed as a second-tier military power, built a world-class drone arsenal under sanctions, why Russia is mass-producing these systems and using them in Ukraine, why the United States and its allies are scrambling to copy them, and why China's advanced drones have not dominated despite Beijing's vast industrial capacity. We also ask whether this democratization of air power will fundamentally change the balance of global security. What happens to warfare when a $20,000 drone can force a $3 million defensive response? How can any air defense sustain that? Iran's unlikely drone empire, born from isolation. To understand why Iranian loitering munitions like the Shahed 136 now menace Kyiv, Tel Aviv, and Riyadh, we need to go back nearly 4 decades. The 1980 to 1988 Iran-Iraq War was a formative trauma for the young Islamic Republic. After Saddam Hussein invaded, Iran's revolutionary regime suddenly found itself unable to procure spare parts for its Western-made fighter jets, helicopters, and tanks. Many pilots and technicians had fled, foreign suppliers withheld components, and the US imposed sanctions. As a result, Tehran's leaders doubled down on creating an indigenous military industry and investing in asymmetric technologies that could offset their disadvantages. A 2020 study by the American Enterprise Institute notes that Iran's wartime isolation pushed it to develop 3 pillars of asymmetric power: speedboat swarms, long-range ballistic missiles, and unmanned aerial vehicles. While the naval and missile programs have been widely publicized, the drone program evolved quietly in the background. The earliest Iranian UAVs were crude reconnaissance platforms cobbled together from consumer electronics. The first model, the Mohajer 1, carried a single film camera that had to be developed after landing. Its analog radios were easily jammed by Iraqi forces. Over the 1990s and 2000s, Iranian engineers gradually integrated GPS navigation, higher resolution cameras, and more reliable communications. According to Iran's drone roster compiled by the US Institute of Peace, by 2012, the new Shahed 129 could fly for 24 hours, had a range of about 1,700 kilometers, over 1,000 miles, and could carry up to 8 precision-guided missiles, making it roughly equivalent to the US MQ-1 Predator. Tehran reportedly deployed the Shahed 129 in Syria in 2014 to attack rebels and ISIS. Iran's drone program received a significant boost in 2011 when its cyber warfare unit captured an intact US RQ-170 Sentinel stealth drone near the city of Kashmir. American officials eventually acknowledged the aircraft's loss, and Iran claimed to have downed it by hacking its control signals. Subsequent reports indicate that Iranian engineers reverse-engineered the captured UAV to produce several radar-evading variants in the Shahed series. This combination of wartime necessity, sanctions, and opportunistic reverse engineering laid the foundation for Iran's present-day drone empire. The Shahed series, cheap and cheerful. Iran's drone arsenal spans reconnaissance platforms, multi-mission combat drones, and suicide drones. Among these, 3 names matter most for understanding today's battlefield: Mohajer 6, Shahed 129, and Shahed 136. Mohajer 6, produced by the state-owned Quds Aviation Industries, the Mohajer 6 is a mid-range UAV with a range of about 1,200 miles. It can carry laser-guided munitions and perform intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance missions. Unlike Iran's kamikaze drones, the Mohajer 6 can return to base after each strike, making it a sustainable asset for repeated operations. Shahed 129, unveiled in 2012, this medium-altitude, long-endurance drone has a flight range between 1,700 and 2,000 kilometers and can stay aloft for up to 24 hours. It can carry 2 or more precision-guided bombs or missiles weighing around 34 kilograms, 75 pounds each. The Shahed 129 became the backbone of Iran's drone fleet and has been exported in small numbers to proxies such as Hezbollah. Shahed 136, Unveiled around 2021, the Shahed 136 is a kamikaze drone that functions as a loitering munition. It is roughly 11 feet long, has a distinctive delta wing, and can carry a 40-kilogram, 88-pound warhead. Iran's own sources claim it can strike targets 1,300 to 2,500 kilometers away. Suicide drones like the Shahed 136 cost about $20,000 apiece, far cheaper than a Russian-caliber cruise missile, which costs around $1 million. These low costs allow operators to fire mass salvos. Individually, the drones are slow and relatively easy to shoot down, but when launched by the dozen, they saturate air defenses and force adversaries to expend expensive interceptors. Iran's drones at war. Middle Eastern proving grounds. Iran did not keep its drones in the workshop. Since the early 2000s, Tehran has exported UAV technology to allied militias and governments. Iran's proxies, including Hezbollah, militias in Iraq and Syria, and the Houthis in Yemen, have received hundreds of drones. Hezbollah became the first non-state actor to use armed drones in combat in 2006. In September 2019, Iranian suicide drones and cruise missiles struck Saudi Arabia's Abqaiq oil facility, knocking out nearly half of the kingdom's petroleum output. Such attacks showed that these systems could bypass sophisticated air defenses, fly low to evade radar, and inflict strategic damage. Beyond the Middle East, Iran's drones have become a core component of Russia's war against Ukraine. From September 28, 2022 through December 28, 2024, Russia fired approximately 14,700 one-way attack drones at Ukrainian targets. Most of these were Shahed 136/131 systems imported from Iran and modified with improved guidance and electronic countermeasures. Even though Shahed-type drones hit their targets less than 10% of the time, their low cost and the ability to launch mass salvos make them the most cost-effective weapon in Russia's strike arsenal. This attritional logic explains why from September through December 2024, Russia launched more one-way attack drones than in the preceding 23 months combined. Russian reliance on Iranian drones has grown as its own missile stocks diminish and domestic drone production ramps up. Russian sources say Moscow plans to produce more than 6,000 Shahed-type drones per month at the Alabuga factory in Tatarstan. Large-scale production has driven the cost of Russian-made Shaheds down from $200,000 per unit in 2022 to about $70,000 in 2023-2025, while Iranian-supplied versions cost $20,000 to $50,000. Each Shahed carries a 40-kilogram warhead, but costs orders of magnitude less than the Patriot surface-to-air missile, which costs over $3 million. The cost asymmetry means Russia can launch nightly salvo attacks that degrade Ukraine's infrastructure and exhaust its air defense inventory. Indeed, a single night in August 2025 saw Russia fire over 600 drones and missiles, forcing Ukraine to expend precious interceptors. Exporting attrition. Cheap drones for proxies and friends. Iran's success has made it a major exporter of drones and loitering munitions. Iranian-backed militias now hold stockpiles of more than 2,000 drones, and Iranian technology underpins Houthi attacks on Saudi and Emirati infrastructure. Tehran has also sold or licensed production to state partners. Venezuela paraded Mohajer-6 drones as symbols of its partnership with Iran. Ethiopia uses them in the conflict in Tigray, and Tajikistan announced a joint factory to build Ababil-2 drones. Russia's partnership goes even further. After purchasing thousands of Shahed 136 drones, Moscow has begun domestic production through joint ventures with Iran. Russia aims to produce 6,000 drones by mid-2025 and has already reduced per-unit costs through local manufacture. The drones Russia produces locally, often rebranded as Jeren 2, are slightly more expensive than Iranian models, but allow Moscow to sustain nightly attacks without relying on smuggling corridors across the Caspian Sea. Russia's adoption of the Shahed design underscores the universality of attritional swarm logic. Cost matters more than elegance. Iran's drone logic. Why are Iran's cheap drones so disruptive? The answer lies in cost exchange. A Shahed 136 may cost $20,000 to $50,000 and carry a 40-kilogram warhead. To shoot it down, defenders often fire expensive interceptors. A Patriot Passy 3 missile costs over $3 million, and even smaller NASAMS missiles cost over $1 million. When dozens of drones swarm simultaneously, air defenses face a painful choice. Spend millions to stop each $20,000 drone or risk letting some through. Shaheds are deliberately used to saturate radar screens and force command centers to prioritize which targets to defend. Russia has fired over 14,000 of them in 2 years. Even if 90% are intercepted, the remaining few that slip through can destroy power plants or apartment buildings. The psychological and strategic impacts. The buzzing of Shahed drones over Kyiv every night inflicts psychological trauma. While modern fighters travel at hundreds of miles per hour, the Shahed lumbers along at around 115 miles per hour, giving civilians and soldiers alike the macabre experience of listening to a flying engine slowly approach. Ukrainian air defense crews must remain on constant alert, chasing dozens of slow targets whose flight paths meander to confuse radar. Even if the drones seldom penetrate to their intended targets, the daily salvos tax the defenders' bodies, equipment, and morale. This attritional logic, forcing an adversary to defend everything, everywhere, every night, forms the core of Iran's drone strategy. It is warfare by exhaustion rather than by precision. Global scramble to copy the Shahed. Iran and Russia have shown that cheap drones can change the cost calculus of war. As a result, Western militaries and defense firms are racing to develop low-cost attack drones modeled on the Shahed. A September 2025 report noted that Russian-built Shahed versions cost about $35,000 to $60,000 each, prompting US and European companies to design similar delta-wing, propeller-driven munitions. At a Pentagon event in mid-2025, the US Department of Defense displayed 18 American drone prototypes, including the Lucas, low-cost uncrewed combat attack system, by Spectre-Works, and the Arrowhead by Griffin Aerospace, both explicitly pitched as affordable Shahed analogs. Western firms argue that their drones are faster and more precise. Britain's MGI Engineering claims its Skyshark can fly at 280 miles per hour compared with the Shahed's 115 miles per hour. Yet, as one European missile manufacturer acknowledged, the point of mass-produced drones is not to be elegant but to tire out the enemy's defense. The United States Air Force has even issued requests for Shahed replica drones to improve training and countermeasures. The replicas must have a minimum range of 50 miles and be able to take off and land autonomously. The objective is to give US units realistic targets against which to practice, highlighting how quickly the logic of cheap, expendable drones has permeated Western defense planning. Where is China in this race? No discussion of drones would be complete without mentioning China, which boasts the world's largest UAV industry and is the largest exporter of military drones. However, the Chinese role in today's drone debate is more complex. Beijing's flagship combat drones, such as the Winglong 2 and CH-4 series, are sophisticated and capable of carrying precision missiles, long-range sensors, and endurance comparable to Western MQ-9 Reapers. Yet they are expensive. The CH-4 and Winglong 2 cost between $1 million and $2 million each, while a US MQ-9 Reaper costs about $16 million. By comparison, a Shahed 136 costs tens of thousands of dollars, making it more attractive for mass use and attrition. China has delivered over 200 combat drones to 17 countries between 2013 and 2023, with major buyers including the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Pakistan. These drones have seen combat in Iraq, Nigeria, Egypt's Sinai, and Saudi Arabia's war in Yemen. Yet, Chinese drones are designed for multi-role missions, offering endurance and precision rather than expendability. They are thus not readily comparable to Iranian kamikaze drones. This difference explains why, despite China's technological prowess, Iranian drones have had a bigger impact on recent conflicts. China's UCAVs are essentially alternatives to US Reapers and Predators, sold to countries that cannot buy American equipment. Iran's Shaheds, by contrast, are designed to be expendable swarming munitions that overwhelm defenders through sheer quantity. They democratize the ability to launch long-range strikes. Militias and sanctioned states that cannot afford multi-million-dollar aircraft can still inflict meaningful damage. In that sense, Iranian drones are rewriting the rules of low-end warfare, while Chinese drones remain tools of state militaries. Small states, big punch. The consequences. The proliferation of cheap loitering munitions raises profound questions for global security. Who can now punch above their weight? Small, technologically advanced states such as Singapore could leverage mass-produced drones to deter larger neighbors. Militias with limited budgets can threaten oil facilities, airports, and cities far beyond their borders. The United States has long relied on its advanced manned aircraft and expensive missiles to project power. Will that model hold when adversaries can swarm its bases with $20,000 drones? As Elon Musk remarked on social media, manned fighter jets risk becoming obsolete in the face of agile drone swarms. A claim that may be hyperbole but highlights the changing economics of air war. Legal and ethical challenges. Cheap drones also blur the line between military and civilian targets. Suicide drones like the Shahed 136 often attack critical infrastructure, power stations, oil facilities, ports that sustain civilian life. These systems are small, slow, and produce low thermal signatures, making them hard to detect. They can fly low enough to evade radar and are quiet enough that by the time they are audible, they may already be close. Should pipelines, power plants, and apartment buildings be treated as legitimate military targets simply because drones can reach them? How should international law address the proliferation of kamikaze drones among non-state actors? These questions will become pressing as the technology spreads. A new arms race. In response to Iran's success, the US and its allies are pouring money into counter-drone systems, from electromagnetic jammers and directed energy weapons to autonomous intercept drones. Ukraine has improvised with first-person view FPV drones that cost about $1,000 and can intercept or detonate near Shaheds. Western militaries are exploring the use of laser weapons and AI-controlled turrets. Yet the fundamental cost imbalance remains. Destroying cheap drones with expensive missiles is unsustainable. This arms race is likely to accelerate as more actors adopt swarming tactics. Democratizing air power. The rise of Iran's drone program and its export to Russia and various militias demonstrates that air power is being democratized. In the 20th century, building a modern air force required enormous industrial capacity and financial resources. Today, any country or even a non-state group with modest funds can assemble plywood, off-the-shelf engines, and GPS receivers into a weapon capable of striking 1,500 miles away. This shift does not eliminate the advantages of advanced fighters and bombers. Stealth jets remain crucial for contested battles against peer adversaries. But it adds a new layer, the ability to flood the sky with inexpensive munitions that exhaust enemy defenses. Will the future belong to nations that can build millions of cheap drones rather than a handful of exquisite jets? This question is no longer hypothetical. Iran's Shahed drones, built under sanctions, costing a few tens of thousands of dollars and exported across the world, have forced a fundamental rethink of air defense. Russia's nightly drone salvos over Ukraine illustrate the brutal efficiency of attrition. Even a 90% interception rate cannot prevent significant damage when thousands are launched. Western militaries are scrambling to produce their own low-cost loitering munitions while developing countermeasures. China, for all its industrial might, currently plays on the high-end side of the market, offering multi-million-dollar drones that compete with US systems but do not match Iran's swarm paradigm. The democratization of air power will force countries to invest in layered defenses, to reconsider what constitutes critical infrastructure, and to develop norms around drone warfare. It will empower smaller states and non-state actors, eroding the monopoly of traditional air forces. And it will intensify the arms race. For every cheap drone, there will be a cheaper counter-drone and so on. As cheap, expendable drones proliferate, the battlefield of the 2030s may resemble a sky teeming with buzzing propellers and smoke trails rather than the roar of jet engines. The world must prepare for a future in which war is waged not just by men and machines, but by masses of tiny, autonomous wings.